Okay. Hello there. Welcome back to the channel. Do people even say that anymore? I doubt it. Hello, welcome back. Look at me, posting a week after my last post. Granted, the last one was an unfinished video, but we're gonna take accomplishments where we can get them, right? So the first 2 months of these projects, the first 2 months have been seemingly very slow moving due to a lot of obstacles, both mental and material, having supplies, not having supplies, and then just dealing with depression, etc., etc. But in the last maybe 2-3 weeks, progress has been happening and happening quickly, which has been great. In the last week or so, I've nearly finished the Hermit crab diorama. I got a start on the hexagonal book or tome, and I've even begun cleaning and assembling the miniatures and pieces for the third project. And of course, I realize that y'all don't even know what the second and third project is, but we'll get to that later. So we have a lot to talk about, and first I'll give you an update on the diorama and where that stands at the moment. I've done a lot of finishing elements, painted the buildings, put on the vegetation over the buildings and the base. I have finished painting the hermit crab, and then I've attached all of that to the base. And since the last video was an absolute clusterfuck and completely skipped over the majority of everything that's been going on, I want to take you through some of the process of how I did the diorama just briefly to make sure that, that project can get its time in the limelight. Thankfully, the process is pretty straightforward. After getting the ground cover down and painting the buildings, I added the vegetation with super glue and tweezers, and it was my favorite part of the entire project as of right now. I really enjoyed the meticulous application of the grass tufts and moss clumps and designing and arranging the colors of the moss to make it look the most natural or just the most aesthetically pleasing. So as with most projects, I have an idea of what I want it to look like, but typically speaking, with how I paint and work on projects, 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, it changes and doesn't look like I initially thought. And that is exactly what happened with the hermit crab. I originally wanted it to be more red than it turned out overall the body, but as you can tell, the legs turned out to be more orange, which is why I made sure that the face and the head sections were solidly red. I also wasn't planning on having texture on the shell, but when I finished painting it, it looked too smooth, so I went through and I added a little bit of dimension to the shell. And like I said before, I have attached the hermit crab to the base using 2-part epoxy, which was a first for me. And then another first and the final update with the diorama is I did do a UV resin pour. And while it wasn't perfect, I'm still pretty happy with it, especially since I've never done a UV resin pour or a resin pour of any kind. I'm pretty happy with the results, and thankfully I only had issues with air pockets in one section. So that's the update with the hermit crab diorama project. And again, I understand that you guys don't know what the other 2 projects are, and that's fine for the moment, but here's a little preview, sneak peek. This is one book, and then this is another scene, another diorama scene that I'm going to do, but I will talk about those in a separate video. And to wrap this whole video up, one thing I've realized over the process of filming and documenting these projects is that as much as I love filming and editing, when I'm working on a project, especially when it's a creative arts project, I find that I absolutely abhor filming. But I'm also learning very quickly that if you want to have art be your, main gig, main job, or to do it in a more financial driven way, it's just part of the process, and you have to also become a content creator, which I'm still working on, still reconciling that aspect. But with that being said, I am hopeful that I'll be doing more of these as a way of practicing, because it's not my favorite part. But until next time, I hope you guys do wonderfully. Of course, comment, like, subscribe, all that bullshit. Let me know what you think about the diorama, and hopefully the next vlog it'll have the final beautiful shots of the project. And I hope to see you not in a month.